nectar d'or. Now, nectar is the drink of the gods. D'or in French, where the casks come from, means gold. So it's the golden drink of the gods. And before you nose this whiskey, I want you to imagine if you had a big bowl, and in that bowl, our imagination's a fantastic thing, so let's go. In that bowl, you have got some honeycomb, you've got some white chocolate, you've got lemon cheesecake, and creme brulee. Yes, I just said that. Girls not out. Right, I want you to imagine those kind of flavors, very sweet, dessert-like flavors, and then I want you to nose that. That's the second one from the left, and tell me what you think. Gentle with this one, it is bottled at a higher strength than original. Yeah, it's got to be gentle. A lot of lemon cheesecake. That lemon is what you just smelled. That's zesty, straight up your nose. And now when you taste it, again, all over your taste buds. And note the texture of this whiskey. It's almost gone syrupy. It's almost gone thicker. It does get you on the way. This is bottled at 7% higher strength than original. So it's bottled at 46% alcohol by volume, which is pretty high. And we do that to keep all the flavor in the whiskey because it's non-chill filtered. Yeah. A friend of mine calls it, it's a party on your palate. It really just explodes, and again, similar to original, that fresh, zesty flavor on top, and then the sweet, subtle flavors at the back. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. Okay? Again, a little bit of water, but this time, real careful with water. The sweeter the whiskey, the more structure the whiskey gets, or has, the less water we need to add, because you're going to take away that structure and destroy it. So, when you add water to this, real careful, just a splash.
Neil?
Yeah?
Why is there a move
another
to
one.
put an age statement on the whiskey?
Say that again?
Why is there a move now to put an age statement on?
Two reasons. America, we can't do vintages. We have to do age statements in America. So in America, we've always put an age statement on the back label. And consumer demand. People want to know that it's a 12-year-old. So what we'll do is we'll still keep the name, Nectar d'Or, in big bowl. We'll keep the type of cask in a golden, I don't know if this one, La Santa's arrived in South Africa already. Between the name and the age statement, in a gold foil will be the cask name, so that's very prominent. And then at the bottom, there'll be a small 12. So the focus will still be on the name and the cask, but you have an indication and surety that it is a 12-year-old. The tricky thing now is that if you go to a bar and you order a Glenmorangie 12-year-old, you still have to specify which one you want, because there'll be 3. If you order any other whiskey in the world, you go to the bar and you say, I want a 12, 15 or 18-year-old. Yeah. But people don't understand the difference between the taste of those. They buy them based on either status value or monetary value. Black result, gold 18.
Black credit card.
They're more known for the colour, yeah.
And then here is the American market that large that it can actually sway the way that you think.
It's important enough, but to be honest with you, the South African market also demands that. There's a few African markets and some European markets where the age is pretty important. We have to realize that your whiskey consumer globally becoming younger, more trendy, more cosmopolitan, more it's not an old fat white man's drink anymore. It's not. It's a drink where people drink in clubs, they drink it when they're out socializing, they drink it to show off. It's pretty much becoming a luxury spirit. Like Glenmorangie has gone into the luxury spirit market, together with Dom Perignon, Hennessy, XO, Paradis, Richard Hennessy, like exclusive white spirits, but it's higher than that. It's gone into the real status system. Yeah, it is. It's pretty important. If you go into, we do a lot of work in Soweto and in the hot nightclubs in Sandton. You don't buy a shot of Glenmorangie. You buy a bottle of 18-year-old and you put it on the table because you need people to see that that is the brand that you've chosen. That is the brand that you are associated with. That is what you're drinking because that tells people about your personality and where you are in your life. And that is important. So, but we keep the name and the cask because that is important to us. But we've got to listen to what the consumer
I think that big bottle that they got there
Goodness. All right. Any questions so far? Or more questions? Yeah. The next
Finealta has some good Can't smell it. Very long time ago. It's cold, so it's not as bad as a hard thing.
I'm going All right. So now we've tasted Glenmorangie as it is. We've tasted the extra matured range, which still subtle, sweet, very gentle, light. Now let's get into the two new babies. And I'm going to taste them in a reverse order, if you like. In that we're going to taste the second release first and the first release last, and you'll understand why once we've tasted this. So again, core range, prestige range, and then in 2009, Glenmorangie decided that they want to release a private collection. A collection of Glenmorangie that's not been available before. Glenmorangie is not known for making super rare, super expensive whiskies. We want to make our whiskey accessible to whiskey lovers around the world. So they decided in 2009 that they'll release a private collection. And they'll release it to duty-free exclusive. Travel retail exclusive. So what we do is we go and select the top duty-free outlets around the world, and we release a private collection in April 2009 to those duty-free stores, and you could only get them at those duty-free stores. And the decision was then made that if we had the stock available and we had the initiative and the innovation required to do that by our whiskey creators, that we will try and release a private collection or private edition every 12 to 18 months. So what we, sorry? Yeah. So we haven't done one this year, so we did 2009, and then the next whiskey that we'll taste is the release that we released in middle of 2010. So when you release a private collection, there needs to be a bit of a story behind it, and you need to get your inspiration from somewhere. So what we did with our second release, it's called Glenmorangie Finealta. Finealta means elegance. We went back into the history of Glenmorangie in the archives, and we found that the Savoy Hotel in London ordered 5 cases of Glenmorangie. It was the most luxurious hotel in London at the time. Ordered 1 case of Glenmorangie, and then 3 months later, 5 cases, well, another 4 cases of Glenmorangie. Not cases, casks. So 5 casks. Back at the time, whiskey wasn't bottled. Single malt whiskey wasn't available in bottles. Right. 1903, 5 barrels or casks of Glenmorangie to be shipped to the Savoy Hotel in London. At the time, the only place in London to be serving Glenmorangie to their VIP guests. And Bill Lumsden and the team at Glenmorangie then went back into the archives and history and tried to figure out what the Glenmorangie that we made in 1903, what that would have tasted like. And we tried to recreate that in Glenmorangie Finealta. So let's look back at 1903 in the whiskey industry back then. What happened? First of all, maturation was semi-non-existent. If it was for malt whiskey, it was European oak casks or brand new American oak casks. We've only been using used American oak casks since Prohibition ended in 1931 in America. So before that, all the casks that we used to mature our whiskey was European oak casks, because we used to ship sherry and port and wine from Europe to the UK, drink the stuff, and then we had an empty vessel. So we used them as storage items. So the whiskey at Glenmorangie that was stored or matured at the time would have been brand new American oak casks or used European oak casks and probably sherry casks. So we take that into consideration. Great stuff, because we use American oak cask already, and we use European oak cask, sherry cask, so we've got that on hand. Problem. 1903, we used to do our own maltings at the distillery. What that means is when we take in barley and we malt it on site, so we put it in water for 2 days, take it out of the water for 5 days, we let it grow, we then burn it to halt that process, and the only source of fuel that was available was peat. Because the distillery workers used to be sent down to the peat bogs in sort of late May in the summer months to go and cut peat, and then let it dry for a couple of weeks, and then return it to the distillery 3 months later. Which means that the whiskey that was made back in those days were all quite smoky. We don't make smoky whiskey anymore at Morangie. So, sorry? Yeah, so we had to buy in some malted barley with higher phenols and started distilling that. Now obviously this is a process that's come quite a long way. So what we did when we bottled Glenmorangie Finealta, and it was together with a reopening of the Savoy Hotel in if I'm not mistaken, October 2010, we launched Glenmorangie Finealta, and it is at the moment duty-free, exclusive. It is a It's a Glenmorangie with a higher phenol content, so a little bit of smokiness. We've used first full American oak casks and Oloroso sherry casks in very subtle proportions, because it is a subtle whiskey. Finealta means elegant. It's not an overly powerful whiskey. It's key to Glenmorangie, but the main difference is it's the first Glenmorangie to be made with higher phenol content. So if you smell that, what I'd like you to do first, just go and smell your nectar dwarf again. Smell that. Smell your original if you like. If you have no more original, that's a good thing.
Whoops.
And now I want you to smell Glenmorangie Finealta. Yeah.